your floor.
So I'm Danny Russo, and I own SRG Interiors and Daniel Russo Home. It is a very difficult job, and I've been in this industry for over 20 years. I took mechanical drafting in 5th grade, and I didn't know that I wanted to be a designer. So I did all of these different jobs in between. I was always somehow in the design retail realm of things and in art. And I had to learn as I go. So I didn't have a formal education in interior design. My education was in business. And if you know anything about artists, since you guys are mostly all artists, the thing that we are the worst at is business. So Victoria has been with me for the last 4 years, and she has picked up what goes on in my office and how things work. And I'm sure you guys have all seen HGTV, right? Everybody, some sort of design show, Design on a Dime, A Kitchen in a Minute, or something like that. That channel should be called the Sci-Fi Channel because that is not how design works at all. So in interior design, which this also translates into graphic design, fine arts, anything you're going to major in when you go into your 2 or 4 year program, which I will talk about in a minute. So watch this not work now suddenly. Victoria. Okay. So this is just the history of design. If you guys are in any sort of art class, graphic design, or anything, every single thing that you're looking at, whether it be the table you're sitting at, the chair, your pencil, a bottle, a designer has been involved in that. So we have industrial designers that create products. We have graphic designers that create your web design, app design, and all that. We have, I'm trying to think of the term for it, packaging design. So anything you're opening out of a container, that's been designed by a designer. Now, I'm just going to pick this random thing up that I'm looking at, and this appears to be a former Greek yogurt container. This container was not only designed by some sort of industrial designer, packaging designer, but then they brought in a graphic designer to sell yogurt, and they chose the color blue. Blue represents something that's fresh, clean, allegedly healthy, and there's something called color psychology, which we teach a lot about. And the colors on graphics really affect the way you purchase things. If you go into a grocery store and you're looking at the produce department, it's refrigerated, you will notice that all of those refrigerators are black. Why are those refrigerators black? Black shows vegetable color and organic colors better than anything else. So I use a lot of black when I'm painting rooms, and people don't realize that when you go into a grocery store or any type of store, these brands are speaking to you to get your attention, and the vegetables are showing better on a black background. So the history of interior design, I typically tell people that it's stemmed off of architecture back in the 70s and 80s, and it's been around since the 1800s. But we've had some very famous designers. I'm trying to think of someone you guys wouldn't do. Do you know any designers that are interior designers that you know from TV? Anybody? Okay, well now you know one. My name's Danny Russo. So follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But design has changed so much over the years, especially with artificial intelligence coming out and augmented reality. We're moving into mixed reality. I can send you guys over this. I'm going to bore you with the history of design, but I'm not going to read this to you because you guys, I think, are above that. So these are 2 separate images that kind of look like one. This is a very simple designed room, and this is a little more complicated design. The simpler a design looks, it's actually the most complicated to achieve. So much goes into a project that you don't get to see. We work with contractors, engineers, drywall people, painters, electricians, plumbers, wallpaper installers, And we as designers have to know a little bit about each trade. We don't know everything, but I'm asked questions all the time about how different woods take to stains, how different colors will react to sunlight. When you're selecting a color for a project or for a room, in my world, color and paint is the last thing that we select for a project because we want to know what's going into the room first. And you can go to Sherwin-Williams and pick out a gray color, and gray is a chameleon color. It changes throughout the day, and depending on what light it's in, you have green grays, red grays, blue grays, and I'm sure I don't even know, we're old. 50 Shades of Grey was a movie and a book. There's actually probably about 280 shades of gray, but there are only 6 black colors to my surprise. And there's green black, blue black. It's very hard to get a true black because black, I can't think of it occurring in nature on this planet other than in outer space. All blacks have some sort of earthy brown undertones to them. So,
I just got done saying that.
Really?
Yeah.
So in a lot of clients, I could tell you I have the colors memorized at Sherwin-Williams: green, black, inkwell, black of night, black magic, caviar, which is my favorite one, SW6990, and tricorn black. Those are typically your ultra deep bases. Have you talked about Pantone at all?
Not with my juniors.
Okay.
Seniors.
If you're in graphic design, you're going to be doing a lot of hexing colors through Pantone. Pantone's the color authority. They released the color of the year the first week of December in the prior year. This year they released Peach Fuzz as the color. I don't see that going very far in interiors, but that's the color that's going to be trending in graphic design, makeup, fashion, and you're not going to see this color probably until about 2025, maybe even 2026. So it's very interesting. All the paint companies will release their colors, but Pantone is the color authority. And you guys may or may not have resources to that, and I can email you a link with a bunch of different webinars on that. So these 2 designs, like I said, they appear to be very simple, but these were very complicated to create. We have a simple white here where I see a lot of arches. This is very expensive to create an arch. They did a loosely structured light fixture here with pendants dripping down. This appears to have been an old church that's been repurposed into a house. The only reason I can say that and see that is because there's a window here where this appears to have been an altar at some time, and I've never seen new construction with arches like this. And I can see where there could have been pews involved here. And then the back room where the monastery would be, looks like they turned it into their dining room. So design can be very interesting. This is a luxury cabin on this side. I can't really see what we did in here. This is a bunch of just raw woods, big beams. These beams are probably fake. They're just for aesthetics, but I just showed these as an example of design to show you. So where am I going now? Design is not simple. You made this too complicated for me. We are now moving away. Interior design is not going to exist in the next 5 to 10 years. It is now going to be called interior architecture. So what's happened is we've had a lot of dolly decorators come onto the scene. Dolly decorator is a person that doesn't know anything about structural integrity. She knows nothing about engineering. She is there to hang your curtains and make things pretty, but she doesn't know anything about plumbing, CFMs when it comes to air conditioning. And all of the schools, we have 2 great ones in Ohio. Kent State is known for their interior architecture program. Cincinnati's known for their architecture program and interior design. And also one more is Ohio University. So those are 3 ones that are 3 in Ohio that have moved their programs. Even CCAD has changed the name of their program from interior design to interior architecture. And they finally realized that as designers, we know engineering, architecture, and all the stuff that goes into it. So that's what's I see coming down the pipeline for the next 5 to 10 years. I just did a quick research on the best interior design schools or the best art academies, and I found the School for Visual Arts. I forget where this was, but the article was on Design Intelligence, and their program teaches you a lot about fine art, design, architecture, visual arts. Do you guys do visual arts with graphic design at all?
Yeah, we did the senior year.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. I would love to be a set decorator for a tour and just do the lighting and the graphics that come on the big screens in the back. I think that's a really unique thing. All of the major musical acts that are on tour now have incorporated a ton of graphics and animation, and they've blurred the line between reality and virtual reality with what they're producing. If you ever go to Vegas, I just recently saw Adele, and her show, you literally couldn't tell what was a real chandelier and what was a chandelier on the screen. That's also happening on Broadway with all of the major musicals and plays that they're doing, and it's really made set design turn into more graphic design. So we're seeing a big, huge switch to digital arts. So, you might get mad about this topic. There is so much that they don't teach you in design school, art school, whatever your major is. There is a lot that you are not going to know. And there is a lot that you need to know. So whatever industry you're in, there is a trade show for it. So I specifically put on here, the trade shows that I go to are High Point Market in North Carolina. NeoCon is for institutional design and hospitality design. Surfaces covers just tabletops, walls, flooring, wall coverings. BDNY is Boutique Design in New York. It's a specialty show. And then I've been to Maison Objet in Paris, France. That happens twice a year. And when we go to these shows, we're networking like crazy and we're meeting people. The most important thing that you can do in any industry, in any creative field, is network with your peers. You're going to meet somebody along the way, and you never know when that person's going to come back up in your life. And I might be pushing this by saying this, but I learned this from a designer during the pandemic at a talk at one of our markets. He said to treat every new client and new connection that you make as if you want to go on a date with them or get in bed with them. So you want to show your best, the best version of you. And that's really important. So I have that on here. But like I said, networking is a big thing. Also, business and accounting are critical to any art industry. If you're going to be a fine artist, you're going to want to know what's happening in the art world and how the galleries are going to take your pieces and display them. How are you going to make money off that? Because you've all heard the term starving artist, I'm sure. There are probably only 3 to 6 pop artists that are still alive and actually making money off their work. Most artists don't make money until they're dead. So what does that get them while they're living? They're typically living in a studio apartment, working all night long, painting, painting, painting. If they do get lucky and get a big break, they get featured in a gallery, but it's very rare that it happens. So the more you network with people, the more opportunities you have to get your work out there. And I highly recommend showing your art on Instagram, whatever social media platforms you're using. I've been featured in the Columbus Museum of Art twice, once in 2017 and once in 2019. And it was not an easy thing. You don't just apply and get in. They had the jury, you had to apply, be selected by a jury. They invited you to be in the program, and then they give you a room. And that sounds like great publicity, but I can tell you that I spent at least $100,000 on each room that I did. And I partnered with Sony Televisions in 2019, and I did a dining room where I got to choose pieces from the Columbus Arts archives, bring them into my room. I used different sized TVs that had a matte finish on them, and I streamed in art collections from the Los Angeles Museum of Art, the Cleveland Museum of Art, and the Pittsburgh Museum of Art. So when you came into my room, the art was always changing. I was one of the first designers to do that, and basically what came out after that was the Frame TV by Samsung, which now displays art and comes with custom frames. So I've kind of been a trendsetter when it comes to what's going on and happening in the future with art. Again, math is critical. Make sure you're paying attention in your math classes. That is one thing that I did not do. And when you get into a project and you have to estimate tile or you're estimating paint, wallpaper math is the biggest nightmare. I don't know what Common Core math is that they've taught you guys when you were younger, but wallpaper math, once you make a $20,000 wall covering mistake, you'll never make it again. But the way they price things with wall coverings is they will sell you a single roll of wallpaper. That's the price of it. But then you have to buy a double roll, and it might be a European roll. It might even be a triple roll, and you have to do all kinds of complex math equations that you never thought you'd be using again. Like Sally's on the train and she's going 5 miles south and her fee was 25 cents, and Tommy got on stop 2 and his fee was 50 cents, and Jennifer's coming from somewhere else, and what time will they arrive? Those questions actually make sense now that I look back and I have to do complicated math when it comes to wallpaper, tile, and carpet. So pay attention to business and accounting. Communication is also key, and I was talking to a couple designers telling them that I was coming here to talk to you guys today, and we were talking about how our assistants, as a designer owning a company, we will sometimes drop the ball, and our assistants have to pick that ball up, and they have to take it across the goal line, but they have to do it 110%. Where we're at 80%. And a lot of designers coming into the industry will complain about having to do that kind of work, but when you're working in a large design firm, communication is always key, and you're going to be expected to do things out of the ordinary. I never know what I'm walking into on any day of the week. I could be moving a sofa by myself. I could be here at Tolles Academy in, where are we, Dublin, Ohio. I never know what's going to happen, and I just go with it. So that being said, where are we at next? Who knows about this? Who's involved in it? So this is the future, the Apple Vision Pro. Everything that is augmented reality, mixed reality, artificial intelligence. There's another one that I'm mixing. AR, mixed reality, AR, MR, IR. No. So anyway, I've been working with these for the last 4 years. Apple actually sent me a test pair, and I have them here. This is one of the most complicated pieces of technology that I've ever experienced, yet this is the future. So Lowe's is the only app that works with these at the moment, and you can actually go in and design a kitchen, and it'll show you different styles of the kitchen, and you basically can select it, and you will put these on, and you can see what it'll look like in your own home. So we're seeing a lot of technology where, have they learned CAD at all? Any CAD programs? So in design school, you'll start, if you go further, you'll start learning about AutoCAD, computer-aided drafting. That's almost going to go away because I'm now able to scan a room with my cell phone, and it scans it with LiDAR technology. I upload it to one of my programs called Canvas. They upload it into Chief Architect, which is my design program, and we drop in the furniture, and my clients can put these on, and they will see how their house is going to look before we've even started ordering things. So this is going to be the future. We are in, I don't think that Apple should have even released these yet. I think they announced them 2 years ago and they didn't have a choice but to release these. They are very limited with apps, but I can see these becoming once the apps become more available, these are going to be the most robust piece of technology. And I'm working with a few different architecture platforms where we're going to be able to put these on and look around a room, and it will scan the room for us and upload it later, and then the clients will put it on. But we've eliminated a lot of the measuring from just using AI and augmented reality. So if you invest in a pair of these, I would wait. They're going to be coming out with a cheaper version. These were very expensive. And you can screen mirror from your desktop, but Tori has tried these on, and she makes fun of me while we're in the office because I'm literally pushing buttons and you're pinching to grab screens. But what I see in here is screens all around me that can be up to 120 inches. And there's something called pass-through where I turn the dial and it'll take everything out around me. I got to travel from the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show on a plane with these, and I was in the Disney theater, and I did not feel like I was on an airplane. I was in a beautiful empty theater with lighting and curtains on the side, and when the movie started, the lights dimmed. So this is the future. If you're learning graphic design or app design, you are going to be learning to make them for the Apple's, what's it called, the iStore, the iTunes Store, the App Store. But they're really light on applications right now. And Meta has had 3 pairs come out. I tested the MetaQuest Pros, and these just blow them out of the water. So this was the marketing picture from Apple, but I can tell you that when I put these on, my eyes look nothing like hers do, and it actually has a persona. I did the first Zoom call on these, and I looked like a dead person, but my face was still moving. There's eye tracking in these. It's just these are very, very advanced. I highly recommend looking into these in any program that you're going into. If I had more time, I would have hooked these up so you could see what I see in them, but there are virtual art galleries in here. Artists are using them to basically open virtual art galleries where a client can download your art gallery and see your work in their space. And they can actually browse through a gallery that you've created and see your different works. They're also able to change the wall covering on the wall to see what your art's going to look like with what am I trying to say? They're going to be able to see what your art looks like on their walls, and they can change the color of their walls, change the lighting, and it's super interesting to see where this is going to go in the next 6 months even. Does anybody have any questions while I'm on this topic? Go ahead.
How well do they run?
Say that again.
How well do they run?
How well do they run?
Apple Vision Pros, yeah.
I bought 2 external batteries for them. There is no lag time. This is a 1 terabyte version. You're basically wearing an iMac on your head, and this is the iMac. It's just this front part. This is a light seal that goes on it, and then they're battery operated, and I'll show you those, but I bought 2 batteries and I hooked them to myself. But I could tell you when I wore these on the plane, I had the most strangest looks of my entire life because people don't realize that I can still see out of them, and there's 17 cameras built into this apparatus, whether they're on the inside or the outside. And I could see the flight attendant out of the corner of my eye taking pictures of me. And then I just turned the dial and went back into my world. But when you're in your environment is what it's called. It basically, there's very few environments right now, but yesterday I was in a desert and I can hear wind blowing. I'm surprised they didn't build some kind of aroma scent into these, but the volume on them, I don't even know. The speakers seem to be somewhere in the front, but the audio is crystal clear. So right now, like I said, there's very few apps. Disney's on it because Steve Jobs was involved with Pixar, so that's Disney's on it. YouTube's not even on it yet. Lowe's has an app on it. And Zoom has an app, WhatsApp, And that's really about it. You can do PowerPoint on it, but it's really hard when you literally will look at an icon and you double tap it and it selects the icon that you're looking at. So privacy is completely out the window. Apple had our fingerprints when we had the home button on our phones. Then they have Face ID, they have our biometrics, and now they have our retina scans with these. So if you're worried about privacy, these aren't for you, but I mean, the train's left the station. What? I didn't hear you. Tell me that again.
We lost privacy when we got phones.
True. I find it funny when people tell me that they're concerned about privacy and they won't turn their location on because, I mean, my car knows where I'm at all times. It has an app. Anywhere you're at, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, they know where you're at immediately. So, yes, privacy's long gone. So, you can see my work at danielhome.com. I am a design influencer on Instagram at dannyrusso.com. My brand page is danielrussohome.com. I have a podcast called The Design Exchange where we have different industry leaders come in and we talk about design, and we're typically speaking to younger art students and potential clients. So there's a lot to be learned there. I also went ahead and trademarked Danny Russo, Daniel Russo Home, Daniel Home, and I am going to be licensing my name out to anybody who wants to buy it. So I'm going to have a bunch of different product lines coming out at any big box retail store, but I've already proactively registered my name as a copyright and trademark so that I'm protecting my brand. Anybody have any questions on that topic? These were 1 terabyte, and I have, they actually make eyeglasses to put in them with your prescription. So I think all in, I was at about 4,500 for these. But I am one of the only designers, I'm going to be the first designer in the country launching this software where my clients will be able to put these on and see their project done. And I've been working with Meta, Meta hates Apple, but I've been working with a bunch of different designers that have been implementing virtual show houses with lighting and stuff like that.
Are we able to message you anything for help on marketing or anything?
Yes. Victoria will give you my business cards. My email's really hard to remember. It's danny@danielhome.com. But feel free to reach out. Like I said, Victoria has business cards she's going to give you. And then you are your best promoter. Nobody is going to sell you like you sell yourself. So I have been featured in basically everything under the sun. I have been featured on ABC, NBC, CBS, 610 WTVN, ESPN, Fort Worth Living, Furniture and Lighting Decor, Voyage Ohio, Voyage Michigan, HGTV. I'm part of the NKBA, the National Kitchen and Bath Association. I'm part of the American Society of Interior Design. I'm part of Ethos Design Collective, which is a network of luxury designers that will travel anywhere in the world, but we only work with clients that have a budget of $5 million or more. So I have a TV show called Danny Does Design that we shot. We are about to do another feature for Columbus Monthly and the Columbus Dispatch. I've been featured in COSI, Furniture Today, Axios, Business First, Fortune, Forbes, 614. My podcast is on iHeartRadio, Canvas Rebel, City Scene. I forget half of this stuff and don't even remember that I did it, but I just copied this and put this together today. And I think this is a wallpaper that we installed that I have somebody coming from USA Today to shoot next week. And it's from a company in New York called Flavor Paper. And the artist is Ashley Longshort. She is famous for being a controversial visual artist. She does sculptures, and apparently now she makes wallpaper. But I don't know if I'm allowed to use this word. Let me check. My client asked for a specific bathroom.
Oh, you can say it.
So my client called me and asked for a cocaine bathroom. And I was like, okay. So I started with the wallpaper, and then I needed to find a sink surface, and I don't know if I should be telling you guys this. He kept sending me pictures of sinks that didn't have a surface on top. I'm like, well, how are you going to do cocaine if you don't have a surface to do it off of? So we ended up, yes. So we ended up doing a hanging vanity on the wall. My hanging vanity was hung by a non-qualified contractor, and it fell off the wall 2 months later, so we had to repair it. But this was actually the most expensive wallpaper I ever hung in my entire career, and I believe we won an award for this, and I know somebody's coming to shoot it, and I have to be there tonight, but that is the end of this presentation. Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead. I would do Instagram. All of my business has come from Instagram and Facebook by me posting things. I got on Instagram when Instagram was just released, so I have Danny Russo as my Instagram handle, and I just was posting and posting and posting, and I built my following up to 55,000, and I'm on my second publicist right now, and having a publicist has taken a lot off my plate and gotten me into a lot of those, a lot of the features that I showed you, but it's not easy and it doesn't happen quickly. I highly recommend Instagram. Are you guys even using Facebook? No. I didn't think so. But my clientele, you guys are what, Gen Z?
Yeah.
Gen Z? So a lot of my clients are the boomer generation and the millennial generation, and they call me when they want something fun and funky, because I do not do farmhouse, I will not hang shiplap, and I do statement pieces that all work in cohesion together. We're in now 2020. If anybody's ever heard of Art Deco, what happened in 1920, we are now back in Art Deco, but we're calling it the New Deco for the 20s of 2020. But your journey is going to be long and hard, and there's no easy way into the creative arts field at all whatsoever. You will fail. You will think you're a failure and you are the biggest, am I allowed to swear?
Probably not.
Okay. You will fail and you will feel like the biggest screw up on the planet, and that is okay to feel that way. There are days that I wake up and I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I in this business? It happens to me about once every 3 months. And then I have a client that just I work with, and I work so well with them, and they tell me how great I am and how great their project is, and that picks me back up. But Victoria has been with me and seen this happen, where we've had days where we're like, why are we doing this? But you will feel those days, you will have those days, and just remember those days will pass, and it's okay to fail. And you just keep going and start something else. Even if you don't end up being in the field that you're in, you may think that you're going on a career path that looks like this. Your career path will look like something completely different. And you're never going to know when that's going to happen. I've been through the Great Recession, which is allegedly a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Well, it's a once-in-a-lifetime great recession, but a recession happens once every 10 years. We are way overdue for a recession. I somehow made it through a pandemic. And I'm like, oh, once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. So I was born in 1980, and I'm trying to figure out when these once-in-a-lifetime things are going to end for me, because now I'm just used to it. And when something crazy happens, I'm just not even fazed by it. Like, I feel like I've seen it all. And I'm only 23. Any other questions? Go ahead.
so I'm sure you get asked this a lot, but like with the technology improving, should artists be like aesthetic about it or scared?
Repeat the first part. Aesthetic about it? Ecstatic?
Aesthetic.
Ecstatic about it?
Like excited.
Well, it depends on what your medium is. So I see a bunch of watercolors around here and canvases, and know a lot of artists are moving to digital drawings on their iPad, and we work with a bunch of different art companies that license out artwork from different people, and they'll reprint it, and then they will have somebody, they'll print maybe 40 images. They'll have somebody go through and touch them in certain areas with a brush, and you've basically sold that image where they've licensed it out. And I don't know, what technology do you want to do? Like
I personally do digital.
digital? I see everything going digital. Painting wise, there's so many different apps out there where you can do watercolors, acrylics, and just send them out to print. But I don't think anything can replace an actual paintbrush. Like, I love drawing and doing pencil renderings. I spend 95% of my time explaining the 5% that I actually get to do. I would love to sit down and do a hand rendering or a hand drawing. When Victoria was with me 4 years ago doing an internship, I would quickly draw something out real quick, and then she'd take it and refine it for me, and then show her father at how bad my drawings were and how good hers are. But like when I'm doing things, there's only so many hours in a day. I typically work about 12 to 15 hours per day, 6 days a week, and that just comes with owning a business. There's so much that goes on that people don't know about. And every single client seems to think that they're number one, and they are, but we have about 45 number one clients. So we manage personalities a lot. I recommend taking a good psychology course because you end up doing a lot of, if you're working with a married couple, you end up being the marriage counselor and making the decisions for them, and it can get very emotionally exhausting. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead. Yes.
Where did you get those pants and how expensive were they?
These are from my favorite brand called Demobaza. They are made in they're made in the Ukraine. They're made in Bulgaria, either Bulgaria or Ukraine, because they sent me a message when I ordered these and said that there was a delay in shipping because they were being bombed. So Demobaza is one of my favorite brands. They made this shirt. I have about 6 pairs of these jeans. I have 9 pairs of Rick Owens shoes. You would typically see me in a pair of textured gray pants, a black t-shirt, which I have about 175, and crazy shoes. And I've made myself into a character in our industry where I'm instantly recognizable. So when I go to market, I'm just well known, and I use that to my advantage to get better communication with my contractors, better communication with my vendors. If a piece of furniture comes in damaged to Daniel Russo Home and Danny Russo is on the phone calling them, that shouldn't, if I'm on the phone calling a vendor, there's a big problem and they get it fixed immediately. Usually they're used to working with our assistants, but it's all about having a presence, curating your style. When I was your age, I was probably shopping at Abercrombie back in the day. And I can't tell you the last time, I don't even know what a grocery store looks like these days because we just have everything delivered. But yeah, if I find something I like, I will order at least 3 pairs. And I don't know, it just works. Thank you.
And all about branding yourself.
Branding yourself. So Victoria also has something that's very interesting she's going to give you. It is a black bracelet that has my, you did it? So WWDFRD. I will let Victoria tell you what the F stands for, but what would Danny Russo do? And I had big sunglasses on one day, and I came out and somebody asked me who I thought I was, Karl Lagerfeld. I said, no, I'm Danny effing Russo. And that just caught on, and I'm known in the industry as DFR, and we've also trademarked that. So it's all about how you sell yourself, and nobody will sell you better than yourself, and you are your best salesperson that's going to get yourself the job. So don't be shy. Any other questions?
Dee, did you have a question?
Just curious, and I asked how we should feel about the AI world. Because of everything. I've been told by my mother that I shouldn't do graphic design or anything sort of art because AI is taking over everything. Well, that's what we see on the channel.
AI is taking over everything, but I've seen kitchens designed by AI that have 2 kitchens. I've seen a bathroom designed by AI that has 3 toilets. So the technology's not there.
It's not there right now, but by the time I'm at the age where I can start working, maybe it could have improved.
That's why I would recommend that you go to a 2-year program, minor in graphic design, and major in communications or business. Because we will always need people to operate, hopefully we always need people to operate the computers, but they're getting very smart, and there are things that they cannot do. So when I'm creating a new logo for a project that I'm doing, I want to be heavily involved in it. And I've seen AI generate signatures and graphics, and there's just something that's, it requires a human touch, and it's learning. So I would recommend communications and minor in graphic design. Is that okay to say?
I said that is very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do not need a 4-year degree to go into fine arts or interior design or photography, or everybody thinks they're a photographer now that they have Instagram, and I don't even know what the new apps are, but my generation and older are mostly on Facebook. But then I'm also on Instagram more, and I used to have the algorithm down and know everything about Instagram. I do not know how to make a story. If I make a story, it gets all jumbled up, and I let my team do that now. But everybody's watching stories, and what's the other thing? TikTok. I'm on TikTok, but I don't know how to use it. I've never made one myself. But we have a content creator that comes in once a month that I will do videos with, and he has a script that he hands me, and I read from that. But apparently, so I'm somehow making money off of Facebook and Instagram. I'm getting checks every month, and I don't know why or how, but that's an interesting thing. But
When you figure it out, you have to come back to us.
I'm like, what is this? How did, whatever.
That's
Yeah, but stick to what you're doing. Most of you are juniors, I'm assuming, seniors and juniors. When you leave this program, try applying for a job at an art gallery, or if you're in design, Restoration Hardware is always hiring people. But you do not need to take on, I've seen students, I've seen a woman who is 50 years old who used to drive a school bus, enroll at CCAD. She sold off all of her property. She moved into an apartment. She went into debt to $180,000 for a 4-year degree in interior design. And I've never seen her before and after pictures. The project actually looked better before than it did after. Somebody should have told her not to go into interior design, but be careful the colleges that you pick, because a lot of them are for-profit colleges. CCAD is a for-profit school. So I enrolled in CCAD when I had a little bit of time back in my late 20s. I enrolled on a Wednesday, was accepted on a Thursday, went to orientation on Friday, got hired by my 2 biggest clients on Saturday, and dropped out on Monday. So you really don't need to go to such an extensive school. I would recommend a 2-year program, but I don't recommend going into debt that you end up paying until you're 40 or 50 years old, when you can be out in the field making money and still have the talent to secure a good job. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Is that good advice?
I am a lot of years out of industry. And so for me, I like to hear what people who are still in it are saying because
It's nothing like it was when you were there. When she was in interior design, which I don't know when, but the internet may or may not have existed.
you were born.
Designers used to go pick out furniture and clients didn't have access to the internet. So designers were able to charge whatever they wanted for a sofa. Now we have to price shop ourselves out before we present to a client to make sure we're providing them a better price, or they will go to retail and purchase it. But there was a saying in America, if you didn't get what you wanted out of a contractor, call someone else. Since the pandemic, you can go ahead and try to call someone else, but someone else isn't going to answer your call. They're not going to take your call, and there's not someone else anymore. So our industry is contracted so much where we need tradespeople that can hang wallpaper, do welding, do construction. But it's the technology, like when I used to do a rendering by hand, it would take me weeks. Now I can do a rendering in one of our, I call it KinderCAD because it's not real computer-aided drafting, it's like a light version. I can whip out a rendering in 2D in about 2 to 5 minutes. If I have to go into my chief architect software, that could take me days. And I have a CCAD student who was my intern last summer. He can do 6 projects in 4 hours. So learn, I don't want to tell you to learn AutoCAD because it's the most expensive, but Chief Architect is a big one. 2020 is a program for kitchen and bath. And then there's a bunch of different art ones out there. But I can send over a list of resources for you.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Any other questions? You seem like you have more.
I do, but
Ask away.
I would love to like talk to you in private stuff, questions.
Okay. I can stay. We can talk.
Any of
Victoria?
my junior guys, girls, anybody have any more questions? Or if not, I will go ahead and send you guys back to academics. I'm sure your academic teachers will appreciate that. No more questions? Oh, no. I think that's what you said. All right. Thank you very much.
Just a like more like advice thing. What would be your best advice for someone that's like wants to communicate with other people and is just really nervous?
Why are you nervous?
Okay. So,
Because you don't feel do you not feel competent in the conversation that you're having with somebody in the industry? Confidence comes from competence. I didn't pick that up until I was in my 30s. So I think it comes with maturity, but you need to be confident in yourself. There's no stupid questions. Give me a situation where you've been in where you felt like you didn't have the confidence to.
Let's just say, like I was talking to